It was one of those quiet summer evenings in Portland, Oregon, when the rain finally stopped after days of gray clouds. Emily Carter, a 32-year-old interior designer, had just returned home after a long day at work. She slipped into her apartment, kicked off her shoes, and stared at the dress hanging in her closet, a soft lavender one she hadn't worn in years. She smiled faintly. She wasn't wearing it for anyone. At least, that's what she told herself. But deep down, she knew Ethan Miller, her new next-door neighbor, had crossed her mind more than once that week. Chapter 1. The dress she never planned to wear. Emily had bought that lavender dress years ago for a dinner that never happened. Life had moved on, jobs had changed, friends had drifted away, but the dress stayed in the back of her closet like a memory she wasn't ready to let go of. When she finally put it on that night, she looked at herself in the mirror and laughed softly. "I'm not wearing it for him," she whispered. "Just for me." But when she walked out onto the shared balcony to water her plants, there he was, Ethan, tall, relaxed, wearing a worn gray t-shirt and holding a coffee mug. "Evening," he said with that calm, confident tone that always made her heart skip. Emily almost turned back, but she didn't want to look awkward. "Evening," she replied, smiling politely. His gaze flicked for a second, not too long, not too short, just enough for her to notice that he noticed. "That's a nice color," he said. "Lavender suits you." She froze, her fingers tightening around the watering can. "Oh, thank you. I just found it in the back of my closet." Ethan nodded, smiling slightly. "Some things are worth finding again." Chapter 2. Quiet Conversations. They started talking more after that night. It was never planned, just casual encounters in the hallway, the mailbox, or when their balconies overlapped at sunset. Ethan was a freelance photographer who had recently moved from Seattle. He loved early mornings, black coffee, and jazz. Emily was the opposite. She liked late nights, tea, and silence. But somehow, their differences made the conversations easy. One rainy afternoon, when the power went out, Ethan knocked on her door holding 2 candles. "Figured you might need one," he said. Emily smiled. "Thanks. You always seem to have what people need." He chuckled. "Not always, but I try." They ended up sitting by the candlelight, talking for hours, about everything and nothing. When the lights came back on, neither of them moved right away. The silence felt comfortable, like home. Chapter 3. The Photograph. Weeks passed. Their friendship grew, but something unspoken lingered between them. One morning, Emily found an envelope slipped under her door. Inside was a small black and white photograph. It was her, standing on the balcony in her lavender dress, looking toward the city skyline. Ethan's note said only one line. "Greater than, you looked peaceful that night." Her heart raced as she stared at it. She didn't know whether to smile or feel embarrassed. It wasn't intrusive. The photo was gentle, distant, artistic. But it meant something. That evening, she knocked on his door. "I got your picture," she said, holding the envelope. Ethan looked nervous for the first time. "I hope that wasn't weird. I just thought it captured something honest." Emily smiled softly. "It's beautiful. But next time, maybe ask before you turn me into art." He laughed, relieved. "Deal." Chapter 4. The Unplanned Moment. One Friday night, they went for a walk downtown. Portland was glowing, rain-washed streets reflecting neon lights, the smell of roasted coffee in the air. They talked about dreams, regrets, and how people come into our lives unexpectedly. At one point, Ethan stopped near the bridge and looked at her. "You ever feel like life gives you a second chance when you least expect it?" Emily nodded. "Maybe, but only if you're brave enough to notice it." He smiled at that, and for a second, their eyes held longer than usual. Nothing was said, nothing needed to be. Chapter 5. Distance and Reflection. Then came silence. For 2 weeks, Ethan didn't appear on the balcony. His lights stayed off. Emily tried not to worry, but she missed their talks more than she expected. Finally, one morning she saw a "For Rent" sign leaning on his door. Her chest tightened. He was leaving. She found him in the hallway packing boxes. "You're really moving?" she asked quietly. "Just for a few months," he said. Got a photography assignment in Denver. Oh, she forced a smile. That's great. Ethan paused, then handed her a small frame wrapped in paper. I wanted you to have this. Inside was the same lavender dress photo, but now, he had printed it in color. The soft hue of the evening light made it almost glow. Beneath the image, he'd written, greater than, sometimes, what you're not doing for someone, becomes the thing they remember most. Emily blinked fast to stop the tears. I'll take care of your plants, she whispered. Ethan smiled gently. I know. Chapter 6, The Return. Months passed. The lavender dress hung back in her closet, this time framed by memories instead of dust. She continued her work, filled her evenings with design projects, and tried to convince herself that Ethan's absence didn't matter as much anymore. But some evenings, when the rain stopped and the city turned quiet, she'd step onto the balcony, hoping to hear that familiar voice again. And one day, she did. Still wearing lavender, a voice said from behind her. She turned. Ethan stood there, camera slung over his shoulder, smiling. You're back, she said softly. Couldn't stay away, he replied. Turns out, I missed my best view. She laughed, shaking her head. You mean the city skyline? He stepped closer. No, I meant you. Her cheeks warmed, but this time she didn't look away. Chapter 7, The Meaning of Noticing. They didn't rush anything after that. No grand declarations, no instant promises. Just two people who had noticed each other, truly noticed, and decided that was enough to begin with. Ethan started photographing local architecture again. Emily helped him design his first studio space. Sometimes, they'd work quietly in the same room, him editing photos, her sketching floor plans. And sometimes, when the evening light turned golden, he'd glance at her and smile. You still have that dress? He asked once. She laughed. Yes, but I'm still not wearing it for you. He grinned. I know, but I'll always notice. Epilogue. The photograph that started it all. Years later, in a local art gallery, one of Ethan's most admired photos hung in the center, titled simply, Greater Than, Lavender Evening. Visitors often asked who the woman in the picture was. Ethan never answered directly. He'd just smile and say, she wasn't wearing it for me, but I noticed. And every time Emily saw it, she'd remember that quiet summer evening, when a forgotten dress and a simple conversation changed everything.